that we kick this thing off at 12:05, and so that she can have enough time to run her workshop. So here we are. That gives me approximately 35 seconds. So, you want to make an announcement?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you stand up and tell everybody? Startup Week starts next week. For those of you who don't know, it's going to be awesome. There's like a bajillion events, and we have a very special event. Carbon 5 sponsored.
Next Tuesday at 9, Dave Indy, he is one of Carbon 5's partners from San Francisco. He's going to be coming here to give a presentation, actually a workshop on experience mapping, which is a tool that we use at Carbon 5 to help our clients move from ideas to actual building software, basically going from like what needs to be built to the actual stories to build it. So it should be interesting. He's a great speaker. It should be a lot of fun. So, thanks.
All right. Okay, so if you get a chance, whip out your phone. Give a shout out today to Carbon 5 for supporting Chadev and making sure that we all have this lovely pizza.
And then next week, we will actually be in the Edney Innovation Center, which is at 1100 Market Street, instead of Society of Work. And the entrance to the building is actually facing 11th Street, so you will...
Is that from now on?
That is from now on.
Now and forever.
So...
Spread the word.
Yeah, tell your friends.
It will
tell your enemies.
Never be again on this floor. This is the last day.
This is for real?
This is nostalgic. I might cry later. So, yeah.
Anyway, it's an awesome space. We've got a bigger projector. We've got 3 projectors. We've got better camera system, audio, PA, all that stuff. More chairs. If you bring more people, we'll have more pizza. Like that's how that works. If they are RCP. So let's try to fill. We've got 110 chairs in the new space, and I think in the next like 18 months we can fill it up. So.
Boom. Okay. So Jessica Ivins is an instructor at Center, and she moved down from Philly where she worked at Girl Develop It, right? Is that right?
I was part of Girl Develop It.
Okay.
That wasn't my full-time.
You were an instructor there.
Yes.
You instructed classes. Okay. And now she's here with us, and she's going to run this awesome workshop, and I'll let her tell you more about that. Jessica, round of applause, everybody. And before.
Oh, I have a mic. Okay.
Passing of the mic.
We'll never do that again.
Never do that again. Last time.
Never pass the mic.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thanks, folks, for joining us today. My name is Jessica Ivins. As Brett said, I used to live in Philadelphia. I moved down here a little over a year ago to be a faculty member at Center, which is the UX design school located right here downtown in Chattanooga. What we're going to do today is brainstorm speaking topics. So today's session is a little bit different than the typical Chadev lunch. This is going to be more of like a workshop-y kind of thing rather than a presentation, although I do have a presentation in the beginning, as you can see. So I want to start out by saying that you can speak. You can speak publicly. You might be thinking that public speaking isn't for you. You might be thinking, well, I'm just here for the pizza. I don't actually want to get into public speaking. I had no idea what today's topic was. I just came over for the pizza. But if that's the case, you do have something valuable to share with the community. I think it's important, and I think this workshop will help you understand that today. So if you have any doubts, if you think otherwise, I think by the end of today you might change your mind. I'm going to tell you a little story that illustrates why I think this is the case. This was me back in 2011. This was actually my profile picture on HappyCog's website. I used to work for a web design agency in Philadelphia called HappyCog. They're headquartered there. I think they're just based in Philadelphia at this point. They used to have offices around the country. And I was a senior UX designer. So this was back at around 2011. And my boss at the time, his name is Kevin, he took me out for lunch one day, and he told me that he wanted me to improve my public speaking skills. Well, he wanted me to improve my ability to present work to our clients. And he said, by doing that, I really want you to get into public speaking. And my reaction was not excitement. It was basically the opposite of excitement. I think the conversation went something like this. Me, I don't have anything worthwhile to say. And his response was, of course you do. We all do. So I tried to find some really creative ways to explain why I shouldn't get into public speaking, and he wasn't buying it. So I reluctantly agreed that I would get into public speaking. And I decided that I would speak about designing for a female audience, because that's something that I'm passionate about. I'm really passionate about women's issues. I'm really passionate about design. So why not combine the two? And I'm thinking, well, I'm passionate about this. I don't know who's going to want to listen to this, but I'm going to give it a try. So I gave my first presentation in Philadelphia. And to my surprise, it went pretty well. And I started getting invited to other meetups in Philadelphia to give the same presentation. At one meetup, they sold out so quickly that they asked me to come back and do an encore presentation. So I actually did 2 presentations. This is me in 2012, still giving the same presentation around Philadelphia. Because it was popular, people liked it, people really wanted to hear what I had to say. This was about 2012. Fast forward to today, I've spoken all over the country. So these are all the cities that I've spoken in. After I was speaking in Philadelphia, I submitted my presentation to a conference called the IA Summit in Denver, Colorado, right in the middle there, the country. It got accepted and I spoke there. And what I realized is that conference organizers will actually scout speakers from other conferences. So I got invited to other conferences that year just because they had seen me on the IA Summit's website. So I ended up going to Canada that year. I ended up going to, I can't remember where else, somewhere where these stars are. But the moral of the story is that in about 4 or 5 years, I went from being scared to death of public speaking to being an accomplished public speaker. This can also be your story. Public speaking has done wonders for my career. And if you still have any doubts now, hopefully by the end of today's session you won't, because we all have something valuable to say, and we can all share things with the community and make the community better. So now on to the workshop. This is how we're going to do the workshop. First, we're going to generate ideas, lots of ideas. And these ideas will lead us to speaking topics. And while we're generating ideas, I want you to focus on quantity, not quality. Now, you don't hear this very often. Usually people say to focus on quality and not quantity. But when you're brainstorming and you're generating ideas, it's important to just get stuff out of your head onto paper. A lot of people are afraid to brainstorm. They're really afraid that they're going to come up with a bad idea. But when you're generating ideas, it doesn't matter if the idea is good or bad. Just get it out of your head onto paper, and then we'll refine it later. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how we're going to write this down. You're going to generate ideas based on a series of questions. So I'm going to put up some questions up here, and you're going to write things down in response to the question. The first question is, what have you done professionally in the past month? And I'll give you some examples of things that you can write. You don't have to write yet. Actually, please don't start writing yet. I'll let you know when we're ready to start. But the first question is, what have you done professionally in the past month? And these are some examples of things that you could write. You might write, well, I organized a Chadev meetup. I learned how to show and hide stuff with jQuery. I introduced this particular aspect of the agile process. I mentored a junior dev in CSS3 animations. I learned to do something with Node, this specific thing with Node. And I wrote a blog post on this specific topic. These are the kinds of things that I'm looking for in terms of specificity. These are the kinds of things that I'd like you to write down. So what you don't want to write down is, I coded some stuff, right? Because that's not very specific. You want to be as specific as possible. This level of specificity is what we're going for. So the question that you're going to answer is, what have you done professionally in the past month? You're going to have 3 minutes to write down 8 things, so it's going to go by quickly. And I want you to use paper. It's important that we use paper and not like a laptop or a tablet or anything. Does anybody have any questions before I start the timer? Any questions about what we're doing? Okay. So it's going to go by quickly, like I said, about 3 minutes. And you're writing things down in response to this question. By the way, I put out pens for people, but I didn't have enough for everybody. So if you don't have a pen, there should be one near you on an empty seat. Thank you, Andrew. So as you write stuff down, don't worry about filtering. Don't worry about whether or not it's a good idea. Just get it out of your head. You have about 2 minutes. Okay, you have about 1 minute left. Oops. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. What have you done professionally in the last 6 months? Now again, you're going to have 3 minutes to write down 8 things in the next section. The trick is, though, you have to come up with new stuff. You can't write anything that you've already written. So you're going to have to dig into your brain a little bit. So what have you done professionally in the past 6 months? You have 3 minutes to write down 8 things. Any questions? Okay, go. I normally play music, but there's a lot of feedback, like on my computer right now, so I could try to sing for you, but that would just be weird. So I'm just going to work in silence.
Somebody on the Jeopardy theme.
One trick you can use if you start running out of ideas is to just write, like in the right-hand margin, I can't think of anything to write, and keep writing that, and then that'll trigger your brain to write more. Either that or you're going to get tired of writing, I can't think of anything to write, and then you're just going to make yourself come up with more ideas. You have about a minute left. So the next question, what have you learned or accomplished in the past 2 years? So come up with new stuff. You can't write down anything you've already written. You have 3 minutes. You'll thank me later for all this writing. I know your hands are probably starting to cramp up, but we're going to have a lot of stuff to work with at the end. You have about a minute left. Okay, the next question is, what techniques or tools have you learned in the past 2 years? What I'm looking for here is hard skills, like technical skills. So it could be, I learned how to migrate a static style sheet into Stas. I learned how to show and hide something with jQuery. So really focus on technical skills that you've learned in the past 2 years. And again, new stuff. So you're really, really digging into your career accomplishments. Yes. You have about 1 more minute. Do you need a worksheet? I have extras. Are you sure? Okay. The next question, what do you know now that you didn't know when you were in school?
Oh my God, so many things.
Yep.
So we've got like a week on this one, right?
Yeah, actually you have a little bit less time. I'll give you about 2.5 minutes now, but try to get 8 things, because I think this is a really broad question. But I wanted to give you really focused questions in the beginning, just so you knew what to write. If that makes sense. And again, all new stuff, not stuff you've already written down. You have about 1 minute. The last one, what soft skills have you accumulated throughout your career? Now by soft skills, I mean interpersonal skills. So it could be something like, I learned how to write more effective emails. I learned how to run meetings that weren't painful. You don't have to write, use words like painful, but I learned how to write more efficient or run more efficient meetings. So interpersonal soft skills. And since we're running a little short on time, I'm going to give you 2 minutes for this one too. Try to get at least 6 things. If you can get 8, even better. You have about a minute left. By the way, don't worry about filling out the third sheet. I noticed that some of you are looking at it. Don't worry about that until the end. It's always good to see eager people, though.
And then crush your souls.
What, eager people crush my soul? Is that what you said?
It's great to see your people and then crush their souls.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you when to fill that out. We're not ready yet. All right. So now what we have here is a list of approximately 40, 45, maybe even 50 things that you've written down that could lead into speaking topics. But we have 45 or 50 things, 30 things, however many things that you got to. Now we need to narrow them down. I'm going to have you take a look at everything you've written down on both sheets. Pick 5 things that you're really excited about and put a star next to each of those things in the left-hand margin next to the number. So take a look over both sheets, everything you've written down, and put a star next to 5 things that you're excited about. You have about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Actually, I'm going to do a minute and a half just to keep on time. So you have less than 30 seconds, so just go ahead and wrap up your stars. Okay, the next thing I'm going to have you do is find 5 things that you want to do more of that you've written down and put a little diamond, draw a little diamond next to each of them. You can pick some of the same things that have stars, that's fine, or you can pick new things. You have about a minute to do that. So 5 things that you want to do more of and draw a little diamond next to each. Okay, the last thing I'm going to have you do is find 5 things that you're confident about. You're confident in your ability to do these 5 things, and draw a little triangle next to them. And again, you can draw triangles on things that already have stars and diamonds. That's fine. Or you can pick new stuff if you'd like. Okay, we're about to wrap up. So in a minute, I'm going to have you pair up, not just yet, but in a minute. I'm going to have you pick 2 to 3 of your top ranked ideas and consider them speaking topics. So if you're excited about it and or eager to do it and or confident about it, chances are you could speak about it. So I want you to pick 2 to 3 of your top ranked ideas and share them with your partner. Each of you will take a, sorry?
Top rank means things that have more than one symbol next to them.
Yeah, so if it has more than one symbol next to it, like that's pretty much a top ranked thing. Yeah. It's up to you really, but I would go by what has the most symbols next to it. If it doesn't have a symbol next to it, I wouldn't pick it as one of your top ranked topics. So each of you has 5 minutes. This is going to go quickly. Actually, I would probably just do 2 topics. I was hoping we'd be a little ahead of schedule, but we are not. So I would pick 2 topics and share them with your partner and ask your partner questions like, if you were planning to attend this talk, what's one thing you would want to walk away with? And based on the topic I described, who do you think is the target audience? And this will really kind of get the juices flowing, get you thinking about how you could start to speak about this topic. Does anybody have any questions before I pair you up? And I'm going to time you. It's about 5 minutes each, and I'll let you know when you're ready to switch to the other person. Any questions? Okay, cool. So find somebody near you and pair up, and first person goes, and you have 5 minutes to talk. You have 1 more minute. 1 more minute before we switch. 1 more minute before we switch. All right? Hello. What's with the big smile?
I just said something that was sincere, but snarky.
All right. Folks, so switch to the other person. Switch to the other person, so the next person shares their stuff now. So switch to the other person. You have 5 minutes. Did you folks get that? We're switching? Okay. Switch people. Yep, switch. So if whoever was sharing ideas, you switch, and then the other person shares ideas. So. So folks, we're switching people now. Oh, you need to get back? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. I wish we had more time.
Sorry we have to run
That's
out on
okay.
you, but it's
That's cool. I was hoping to end in by 5 up, 10 up, so sorry I couldn't end up early enough. So yeah.
next time.
Okay,
Appreciate it,
awesome.
though.
Thank you.
Can we leave this with you?
Oh, you can take it with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks. Oh, thank you. If you want to, that last worksheet, I was going to have you folks leave it here for the organizer, but feel free to contact the organizer with any kind of speaking idea that you have.
Because
Yeah.
we're team weekly.
Oh, do you? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we're team weekly.
Okay,
It's just that
awesome.
We have a staff meeting with our manager at 1 o'clock. So we have to be
Okay.
ready.
your attention, please? We're going to wrap up. Can I have everybody's attention, please? We are going to wrap up. Thank you. So I hope you had a chance to share at minimum one idea with your partner, at minimum one idea. Hopefully you got to two. I know we don't have a ton of time today. But at this point, I was wondering if somebody wanted to volunteer and tell me about one possible speaking topic they came up with today and why you're excited about it. Anybody want to volunteer and share one thing you came up? Yes, in the back.
And we talked about this probably the whole time. Poor Ken. He's trying to keep me on task. But no, and this is the thing that we were talking about. The thing I care the most about is like work-life balance. How do I love my family? How do I bring my kids up to be whole people while still being successful in a technology career that's demanding an awful lot of us?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, that's a great one. And it's obviously it's important to you because you probably had lots of symbols next to that. So that's awesome. Does anybody else want to share something they came up with? Yes.
Love of pizza?
Yes.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks. Yeah. Is that your serious answer?
I will share the one I think was the most exciting thing I've done in 2 years that I didn't realize until today would be, and this is like the power of these kind of workshops to me is, I redesigned a hospital control system, or hospital backup power control system, like pretty much single-handedly, and that was a lot of fun and very interesting, and I think it would be cool to talk about.
So you redesigned a system, and it was a lot of fun. It was really interesting, and it's something that you would want to talk about. Yeah, it sounds like that would make a really great case study. So what's one question that, and we can go back to the gentleman in the back in the brown shirt who's covering his face with a manila folder, but we can go back to you in just a minute because I meant to ask you a follow-up question. But so what's one question, could you quickly repeat your idea? And I want to ask the audience, what's one question, or how about this? One thing that you would want to walk away with from his presentation. One thing that you would, so could you repeat your topic idea and then somebody tell him what's one thing you would want to walk away with from that presentation?
So, yeah, I came into a situation where a hospital backup power system wasn't functioning correctly, and I had to redesign it and reorganize the entire control system so that it met the reliability and timing constraints for the system.
Mm-hmm. So what's one thing that, if you attended that talk, that you would want to walk away with? One thing that you would want to know? One question that you would want to have answered?
So when you say redesign, like, what does that look like? And what kind of tool would you use to redesign something like that? Could I relate to that?
Nice.
I want to know what challenges you face, how you overcame those challenges.
No project ever goes smoothly, right?
Yeah, I think I wrote this down as another thing, but I think my real passion there is troubleshooting, which is kind of the general theme that I would want to put into the talk, that I think people don't necessarily, and problem solving in general, a lot of people don't typically learn that in school.
Okay, troubleshooting and problem solving.
That would be the general topic I'd want people to take. I would use that as a narrative to explain that process of learning what's wrong and trying to develop a solution.
That should be your opening talk in your space.
Nice, you have 1 week.
And
Awesome, thank you, Andrew. So remind me of your name again?
Paul.
Paul, could you, I want the audience to do the same thing with Paul. Think of one question you would have for him or one thing you would want to walk away from the presentation with. Could you repeat your topic?
Work-life balance, how to have a family, how to be a whole person both in your job and be successful there, but also in your personal life.
Anybody have a question? Yeah.
Probably want to come away with like really practical, examples and tips that seem like immediately applicable to my life.
So practical examples and tips that seem immediately applicable. Why is that the first thing that came to mind?
Because I think theoretically there's a lot of ideas about that, but I think seeing someone take practical steps is more helpful. They're probably both helpful, but for particular talks I'm going, the practical examples would probably be more helpful to me personally than general theory.
Okay. I think I saw another, yeah.
how would you define success as far as like the kids side of it goes? It's probably work, but as far as the family balance, what would you consider success? And what's your process of thinking through that? That might be easy.
I guess first off, have you achieved success yet?
This is getting deep here. I don't know. So awesome. Well, thank you. I do want to wrap up. I have a few more slides, and I do want to wrap up. And I'm glad we got to share some stuff. I wish we had time to share more with the group. So what's next? You might be thinking, okay, I'm energized. I'm excited about my topics. Now what? I'm going to leave you with a couple things that you can get started with if you want to bring your topic into fruition and make it into a talk. And I'm going to gloss over these, but I will share my slides. I'll post them on the meetup page by the end of the day today. This is a book that I read when I first got into public speaking. It's called Confessions of a Public Speaker. It's a fantastic book. It's all about the logistics of public speaking. Makes it seem a lot less scary than it is. Resonate is another book that I actually just read within the past year or two, about how to craft powerful stories in your presentation and how to really resonate with your audience and how to get through to your audience. These are some articles and podcasts. They're quick reads. The podcast is great. It's actually an interview. It's the bullet at the bottom. I Want Action Man with Aaron Walter and Jared Spool. Jared is the co-founder of Center, the school that I work at. They talk a lot about public speaking. It's a really interesting listen. What I'd really like for you to do now is the third sheet is fill out the interest sheet and leave it here. And you can put it up here on the table. And Brett or another organizer will contact you about speaking for Chadev. Now, if you fill out this interest sheet, it doesn't mean that you're committing to speak to Chadev. It's not like they're going to expect you to come up with a talk next week or even 2 weeks from now or anything like that. But it's just a way for the organizers to capture your ideas while they're fresh in your mind, and they'll follow up with you. So please fill those out and leave those sheets here before you leave. You can leave them right up here on the desk. And lastly, please give me back my pens and my folders, because I'm going to take them back to work. Cool.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.